Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome, classroom. We're really excited to have you here. This year we're celebrating our 40th anniversary of the Golf. I think Matt was only 45 then when we launched the first one. I'm just picking on you, Matt. But really excited to have you here in San Francisco for the launch of the 7th generation all-new model. Before we start our presentation, I wanted to make a few introductions. In the back, we'll start with our Executive Vice President of Group Quality, Mark Trahan. Vinay Shahani, sitting to his right. Vinay is our Vice President of Marketing. Somewhere in the back we have Kevin Jostima, also known as the Juice. Kevin's our General Manager for Product Strategy. Also on Kevin's team, Mike Witowski. Sorry, I don't know if I can see you. There you are, Mike. You might want to spend some time with Mike. Mike is our planner for the Golf and GTI, so he'll know all the details about the product. In addition to that, we have a few special guests from Bosch today. Justin Zetta in the back here, Kevin Moll, and Megan Chamberlain. I don't know if Megan's here today, but she'll be, I think, out at the hub today. Thank you guys for joining us as well. I want to go over our schedule real briefly. We'll start off with our presentation that will focus primarily on the Golf and GTI. We do want to give you a brief glimpse into the e-Golf, which is our first entry into the e-mobility segment. We're not going to go too deeply in that. In August, we're going to hold a full-line event where we'll have a chance to delve deeper into that product, but again, just a taste of what's to come from us. Following the product presentation, we will talk a little bit about how we want to market the Golf and GTI, and I think you'll find it interesting and entertaining. We do ask 2 points of housekeeping if we can. One, when we get to the marketing presentation, Vinay will share a few videos with you. The videos haven't been released publicly yet, so we ask that you turn off any recording devices at that time. Second thing is to be efficient with your time. We'd like to ask you to hold your questions till the presentations are over. This way we can get to the drive portion that much quicker. So following the Q&A, we'll adjourn to the lobby. If you're checking out today, bring your luggage with you and we'll make sure it gets to where you're going. And if it's really nice luggage, I'll have a look at it myself. But we do want to pair you up quickly. The drive to our hub is only about an hour, and the hub is in Richmond. It's at a place called Craneway, pretty interesting spot. I think you'll enjoy it. On the drive over, you'll have the chance to drive a GTI, the 1.8 TSI, or the TDI, but you'll also have plenty of time to drive those cars throughout the day. In addition to that, we've got a couple competitive cars, Focus and an Impreza. We invite you to compare those products to our Golf. Also, a few e-Golfs, as I mentioned, and we have a special surprise, a GTI from each generation. So it's a lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy it. They're by no means perfect cars, but pretty well representative of what each era offered. So our executives will be on hand, product experts, our friends from Bosch. Lunch will be available, and we'll end the day according to your schedule. So with that said, I'd like to ask Mark to come join us and kick off the presentation.
Thank you. Thanks, Scott. Well, it's nice to be here with many of you whom I know from previous experiences. First, I'd just like to say thank you to Scott and the team. I think those of you that go to these events know they just don't happen by themselves. And I think Scott and the team really do a very, very good job in terms of how they execute this professionally. So thank you. Last night, Scott was making me feel really old. I mean, he was saying, 40 years ago, 40th anniversary, I happened to think back and crap, he's right. For me personally, it was 40 years ago, almost to the month, that I was 1 year out of technical school. working for a Volkswagen Audi dealership in northern Vermont. And back then we had quite a diverse portfolio. We had Type 3s, the squareback. We had 411s, 412s, Type 2s, the bus, Carmen Gias, and of course the Beetle and the Super Beetle. And then along came these cars. The first car to show up was a Sirocco, but then shortly afterwards we got the first Golf. But back then we called it a Rabbit. And I'm not sure the rationale behind that. Perhaps we can ask Vinay later, but we had Rabbits and then Passats. But this car was, the first Golf was set to achieve certain objectives because remember, it was following what was then an icon and it's still an automotive icon today, the Beetle. This car was designed, basically, the first Golf to replace the Beetle. And it had certain design objectives that it had to meet back then. It, of course, had to be useful, it had to be very practical, seated 5, had lots of space in terms of how it utilized the space, good storage capacity, but it also was very, very efficient and it drove very well, for its segment in the market, a pretty well-performing car, very light, very efficient. And I mention all those attributes because those were attributes that were core to the objective of what was then the first generation Golf 40 years ago. And today we're here with what is the 7th generation. And a lot of those attributes, a lot of those objectives are still there. The car still holds true to a lot of those. But this new car, which you'll hear details of more from Kevin, it's lighter, it's stronger, it's in many ways I would say a premium offering in this segment. But without getting into too many of those details, I think I'd hand it over to Kevin and let him explain to you all the wonderful aspects of this vehicle, which is really, really benchmark, I think, in the industry. So, Kevin?
Thanks, Mark. Good morning, everybody. We're in the vein of Robin Williams. Good morning, San Francisco. Here. Again, our team is here to help discuss with you some of the details of the Mark 7 Golf and Golf GTI that we're bringing to market in not months, but in just weeks now. The GTI will be available in our dealerships in the month of June, and I know customers are anxiously awaiting that, but it is just the beginning of the rollout of the Golf family this calendar year and into next, continuing with the other powertrains of Golf, going into our e-Golf, our first battery electric Golfer, in the end of calendar year 14, followed by the Golf R, which is coming as part of this life cycle, not 3 years from now, like we've done with previous generations, and then following with the Golf Sportwagon. The Golf Mark 7 has already received many awards globally. In its current form, in Generation 6, it received World Car of the Year. Mark 7 has already received that honor in 2013. It has also received European Car of the Year. For the first time ever, an import brand received Japan Car of the Year with the Mark 7. And most recently, it received one of the 10 Best Interior awards from Awards Automotive. The Golf, when you compare it, you've heard us say it's longer, it's wider, it's more spacious. These characteristics are proven in the numbers. You can see, for example, on the shoulder room, it's increased by 1.2 inches. And you'll feel that as you're driving if you get in with more than just pairing up, but get another pair in the back seat. Most astounding is the cargo capacity. That's increased so much that we now have more cargo room with the seats up than any mid-size sedan. It's kind of a weird thought. Do we really have that? But we do. That's how versatile this Mark 7 generation is. One of the primary things that Mark 7 is allowing us to do in our portfolio is to introduce the MQB platform to our portfolio and to the US customer. The MQB platform, which many of you have been writing about over the past year already, brings flexibility in the overall package design by commonization of certain sections of the platform. That allows us to have even greater economies of scale in what we are designing and efficiency in production. That leads eventually to efficiencies in I'll say greater ease. It's not quite greater ease, but greater design ease in incorporating new powertrains, derivatives of the body style. All of these things can be done quicker and more efficiently. I mentioned the alternative powertrains because we are working towards the future where we also need to bring fully electric vehicles to market. We need to bring plug-in vehicles to market, be it for ZEV credit reasons, or be it for customer demand, or be it for emission compliance regulations. And this platform, MQB, allows us to efficiently design for that from the start. It is known now that we need these variations, and they are possible from the start. Another great thing that MQB allows us to do in the overall package design, it pulls the wheels out. It is longer, it is wider, it's a smidge lower in overall height. These are all dream statistics when you talk to the design team and say, what do you want to do with the next generation? They'd say, please make it let's make it a little longer, let's pull the wheels out, let's make a little more space inside. Oh, and if I can get a USP on some cargo capacity, that would be amazing. And that's what we did with Mark 7. So the design is very fresh. It's an evolutionary design and a modern take with cues from the strongest cues taken from Mark 1 and from Mark 4, especially in the C-pillar design, the angularity of the C-pillar that is there. It has a coefficient of drag that is dramatically lowered from 0.32 to 0.29, and some other benefits as well. On the inside, it's characterized, one, by the versatility of the space. I've mentioned already twice the cargo capacity that it has. It also gives on the front driver position, a very driver-centric positioning with a premium layout and an angling towards the driver. It is also characterized, as you would expect from Volkswagen, by upscale material use, upscale feel, brushed metallic looks, and abundant use of piano black trim. Another thing the platform allows us to do is create efficiencies in the weight of the vehicle. This body in white is 51 pounds lighter than the previous generation. It uses high-strength steel, has a reduction in metal thickness. As proof of these efficiencies, the high-strength steel use is up from 6% in current generation to 28% for the body shop. And finally, the platform allows us to bring the latest and greatest and all that the portfolio or group has to offer for safety and electronics equipment to this A-hatch segment. In particular, we have standard now automatic post-collision braking system. We have park distance control and forward collision warning available for model year 15. And in the design aspect, but also safety, we have bi-xenon headlights with advanced front lighting system. And this, as we go through the life cycle, there will be more and more content that we've already planned to bring into the life cycle of the vehicle for safety.